Hello, everybody. I am DJ Leandro. Welcome back to the DJ Leandro Music YouTube channel. This is another Cube-based tutorial as well as a production guide. In this video, we're going to talk about the truth about having too many sounds in your mixes. Something that I had learned many years ago, reading up with regards to production, is that the human ear can only focus on more or less 3 sounds at the same time. Anything more than that, it's going to start to feel very cluttered, overwhelming to the human ear, and sometimes can sound just noisy in the end of the day. So in today's video, I'm going to show you why less is more within your production tracks and how simplifying your mix can make your track sound way better. Okay, so you ask yourself, why is it that our ears can't handle too many sounds? Quite simple. Our ears and brains are not designed to process so many sounds happening all at once within our mix. Instead, we naturally focus on the 3 most dominant sounds within a track. For argument's sake, it could be combined together. The 3 main focus points could be a vocal, a melody, and a bass line. Anything else behind that just becomes part of the background, filling up the track to give it more room and body, blending in the mix rather than standing out. So for argument's sake, if you stack too many layers, your track is not going to sound bigger as what a lot of producers seem to think. In the end, it can actually sound just plain messy and noisy for the person who's listening to the track. A lot of producers have the mistake where they think that more layers means better. This is completely wrong. What actually happens is that all these sounds that you're adding, thinking that you're going to make your track sound a lot better, is that they are actually going to be fighting for space within the mix, making it much harder to hear what really is important within the track. Not just on a volume level, but also within the frequencies of each track element that you have within your track that can be fighting not just for space volume-wise, but also on the frequency spectrum. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got some individual tracks here. We're going to go through each of them. We're going to talk about how it's going to sound when we add more elements in, that it's going to sound messy, and where we can limit that, and I'm going to help you make your track sound much better. Okay, so the first thing that we have here, we've now got a drum loop. Okay, then here's our bass line. And here we've got some piano chords. And we've got a brass melody. Now, as we can hear, just with these 3 main elements, with the exception of the drum loop, right, it sounds clear. We can distinctly hear each of these elements and they sound nice. Now, if I had to add a shaker for argument's sake, it's not really dominating, but it does add movement within the track. So something like this is okay. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more musical elements into it. I have here a vocal sample that we are now going to listen within the track also. Okay, it doesn't sound too bad. So far, so good. Now I'm going to start adding more, and you're going to see how things are going to start getting a little bit more messy. For argument's sake here, I have a synth loop, and we're going to listen to this now, all of them together. Like now, already it's completely complicated. This is not sounding good for the listener. And just to show you even more, we're now going to add some pads as well. You hear that now. Now that everything is playing together, it is totally has ruined the song, where more is definitely more, and it's not sounding good at all. In this case, less is more. That is what we want. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and let's now start at the beginning with just our drum loop and our bass, our piano chords and our brass melody. Now we had to take out the vocal, for argument's sake, and just use our pads. Now, one thing you can do as well, just so we have a listen together. Again, it doesn't exactly sound the best, but what we can do is we can actually add a side chain. And that way the pads can duck while adding some movement and creativity within our tracks. So I'm now going to do that. There we go. As you can hear, we do have the pads there, a little bit in the background. It's not really competing that much. We've made it just very subtle. Plus, it's ducking with regards to our loop. So we now got a bit of a side chain. There we go. So now, as you can hear, you see less is most definitely more in this case. Okay. Now, this you can apply obviously to your own productions. Now, with regards to this example that I've shown you, in your own productions, just a few things to keep in mind. When you start, pick 3. Now, with regards to your own productions, as I've shown you in this example, some things to keep in mind when you start is pick 3 main elements you want to focus on. For argument's sake, let's say your bass, your melody, and your vocal. Those are the 3 main driving elements of your track. So make sure that they must stand out. Number 2, EQ very, very wisely with each of these 3 tracks. Make sure they are not going to clash with each other, right? And are not occupying the same frequency range. Another thing you can do, number 3, is you could use panning and reverb to create space instead of adding layers. So in other words, to make extra room, you can thin out, for argument's sake, a vocal like we have here. I'm just going to play this now and then turn on the vocal just to thin it out a little bit. Let's have a listen. There, so now it's not so present as much, it's not taking away from the track, but subtly adding a little bit more. And then lastly, number 4, is you could mute tracks and then ask yourself, does this mix actually sound better adding this? Or another thing, you can ask yourself, by having this specific layer, can I actually hear it within my track? If not, simple, just delete it. Very, very simple. Don't be shy to delete layers. Just focus on the 3 main layers within your track and then build from there. Or in that case, just finish up your track, focus on those elements, make sure they are compressed, the EQ is good, and they're not clashing with each other. So just remember, less is more. Good producers know how to make a track sound full without overloading it with unnecessary layers. So I hope this helps. Try this in your next track, and hopefully this is going to definitely help you within your mixes. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you peeps liked it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you at the next one.